So if you're looking at your program, you may notice that Greg Lindsay was supposed to give this wrap-up, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. So we're filling in for Greg Lindsay on behalf of Aerial Futures, which was putting together this track. We were very interested in looking at the ground dimension of this drone discussion. So what's happening on the ground? How does it affect people? And how does it connect to existing communities and transportation networks? The precedent for our discussion was, of course, the precedent for the discussion was the drone port concept that was developed in 2016 by Norman Foster and his team at the Venice Biennial. Our objective was to investigate that further and to try to anchor the concept in a real place, in a context, which is the Lake Victoria region, and to use that, that exploration as a point of departure to develop a framework for what would be the basic principles for a drone port that we could maybe build and operate in the region next year. So, next slide. Oh. So we managed to get a couple of boats, and they were very popular. Our track was very popular, and we had a hard time fitting into the boats, but we managed to secure 2 boats. 30 people joined us, and I have to say it was a remarkably diverse group of people. Can I just see a show of hands, or maybe quickly stand up the people who were in the drone port track? So we had a very diverse group of people that have all kinds of expertise and experiences. We got on the boat and we took off for Juma Island.
And apologies for those who were left behind. Yes, we did have a good time. We mixed business and pleasure, but we apologize, you know. This is our reception at the Juma Island. You can see that the audience was very excited to see us. The enthusiasm and level of excitement to see this kind of project coming to them. We were received with a very happy community. We got together and we looked at where we are going. Our plan was to, just see if this works. There you go. So we docked here and we split into 2 teams. One team went to the schools and health center, and another team went to the market and the trading center to see the life and the business in Juma Island. And then we all converged at the school to look at the potential site. Go ahead. On this one, I would like to show you how the business there is structured. You see that given the economies and the level of means, basically economic means, you have small boats, these are fishermen, you have big boats and bigger boats. And yes, it's not only fish on the island, there's also goat and other things. This is a tool they use to do the fishing. It's a fishing net. It looks familiar in the face of many. And then we split into teams and we went to look at other things.
So we were surprised to see what local building materials were on the island and how people were very resourceful already with the kind of construction techniques and technologies that they're using. And you can see side by side that we identified already there's the use of baked bricks and also cement bricks, as well as some stone and local masonry that is done.
It's important to note here that the idea is to have a drone port that fits within the community and becomes part of the community. It's important that whatever work we do for the community, whichever structure we put in place for the community, sits well with the availability of raw materials, skills that are available with some level of training to them. But we want to use whatever is available to keep it local, to keep it cheap, to keep it to involve the community as much as we can. This is a very important picture for us to keep in mind when we are doing the design and the determination of what we do in terms of putting together a drone port. And then this is not put here to be an excuse. Yes, there was rain. It rained so much, but it was an opportunity somehow because it slowed us down. It made us get invited into homes and start talking to the community and to the people and get to understand their day-to-day life at a much deeper way than a superficial way of walking through. So our idea got disrupted by rain, but it was for the good cause.
So our group was invited into this fisherman's home, and we took the opportunity while we waited for the rain to die down to ask him questions about how he built his home and where he gets his materials, what his day-to-day life was about. And Ben, luckily, was able to translate a lot of what he was explaining to us, what their energy sources are, and it gave us a lot of insight as to how people on the island get by and what things are important to them. We also were very intrigued by energy sources and how the people on the island power their homes and their activities. And we visited a mill and learned that there's very resourceful use of technology to try to generate energy and create a secondary economic viable practice.
And so, coming from the energy side, we realized that on the island, we knew before we went there, it was not a discovery, that the island is not connected to the grid. Any source of power is off-grid source, and there were a couple of solar panels on the roof, and you saw the milling machine being used both for milling and also for generating some power for the community. But there is a very interesting thing that we observed there as well. You see these telecoms, and they have mobile money. So the level of digital penetration at this island is a bit, beyond any other thing that we've seen. Basically, they're part of a digital transformation, and we should put that in mind as well when we're talking about bringing a drone port to their community. We shouldn't really think that's so primitive. They are part of a digital transformation, and therefore a drone is to complement this digital transformation process.
So when we walked up to the hill, we visited the clinic, the health clinic, and the school. And this is an area that's already been identified by some of the drone operators that have flown over the island as an ideal destination for the drone port because of its terrain and height. So we tried to understand some of the other civic buildings that are around that place. The school, for instance, should be the next. The school greeted us very friendly, and we met many of the kids. And this is the site that we were really looking at as the potential place where we can build this drone port, set back from the sandlot, which is where the school kids play during their breaks.
There's something to note here. This site sits opposite to the playground over here. You have a clinic over here, then you have a school over here, and then we look at the traffic. When we're looking at this location where we want to put a drone port, we're looking at the traffic of coming inbound and outbound. And very close this side to the lake and also this side to the lake. And therefore, it sits well in terms of how the traffic flow will be. And it's a little bit, doesn't look like there's anything in this area. Actually, there isn't anything in this area in terms of population and people, and therefore takeoffs and landings in this direction is minimizes risks that that would be associated with this kind of operations. So this is an interesting area to investigate further. We looked at it as a potential site for the drone port.
Yeah, then we came back wet and managed to get together and broke up into groups again and tried to start discussing some of the observations we had from our visit and really boiling down the main principles of what do we really need, what does a drone port really need, and it was a very difficult conversation because it was enormously expansive, but ultimately we managed to consolidate our thoughts, and you'll hear about them later. So that was the first session before dinner, then we had another session after dinner, and then we had an even later session, which is a design session, which you'll hear about a little bit later.
All right, that marks the end of our trip. Yes, we enjoyed the trip. It was really insightful. We were able to see a lot of things and put into context where the drone port will be in the community to be and the needs of the community. Would you hear more about our work after the visit, coming together, brainstorming and putting together strategy and the main guidelines for establishing a drone port later in another session. We thank you very much. We showed you people that were part of the team at the beginning of our presentation. You're more than welcome to approach us for more details, more information on this. And if you have anything you would contribute to our conversation, you're more than welcome to do so. Thank you so much for your kind attention.